you know how excited we are every time we tune into this show? Oh yes, we are glad that you could make this week's appointment. My name is Irene Bangwell and you're watching Talk Education Africa. How has your week been? Have you joined any of our Facebook chats yet? Remember to do that. You can like our Facebook page, Talk Education Africa. Last week we had something buzzing here. Yes, the Nigerian new curriculum is brilliant, is excellent. You can do amazing things with it. So have you bought this yet? Have you gone on? I think there's an e-version of it. So remember what happened last week and what we're saying. You can visit our YouTube channel to see a repeat broadcast of what we talked about last week. Something rather interesting happened in Africa last year. It was heartbreaking. We don't want it to happen again. And this week, we're talking about it and how we can keep it out of our continent forever. We're talking about Ebola. There was a time that you just couldn't say it randomly because it could bring a lot of pain. But there's another twist to it. Why did our schools defy the odds and they're back to schools in spite of the concerns of the spread of the virus? Somehow, it looked like they made the best decision because they kind of stamped it out. So today we're bringing in someone with amazing perspective in the medical sector, in education, someone who was at the forefront of stamping it out of FCT Abuja. Let them come tell us some of the things that inspired their thoughts. What are the precautionary structures in place? Should we expect Ebola again? And what can we do to make sure it doesn't get back? That's what today's conversation is about. Don't go anywhere. Call everyone. Parents should be hearing this. So we're educated friends to tune in and be a part of today's conversation. And just in case you have a bias for their resumption, you might just want to stay back and you're right, it did what it did. You know, on Talk Education Africa, it's always engaging perspectives, the real deal as it happens, and how we can move forward. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're going to meet our guest. She's a total package. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here. So we want to talk about Ebola and the Nigerian school community in particular. Why the private schools insist on resuming?
Thank you very much, Irene. Private schools insisted on resuming because we believed we had structures in place.
Okay.
We believed we were proactive.
Okay.
The very first time the news about Patrick Sowell's entry into Nigeria, the moment it came up in August, in the early first week of August,
okay,
the fear, the concerns, FCT as a whole, the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, FCT chapter, went straight to work. We knew the implications. We knew body contact, we knew secretions, we knew how children mingle in school and they get mixed up with one another. And we began to put down a preventive guideline. We did not work alone. We called in the enemy of the FCT.
Okay.
We reviewed the documents together, and the moment our first draft came, mid-August, we had our first sensitization seminar. The sensitization seminar was practically almost free. I think we charged ourselves 2,000 per school.
Okay.
And we had over 100 schools represented, teachers, staff, clinic staff, school owners, and we went all over the preventive guidelines. We sensitized ourselves about Ebola. The NNA was there represented. The FCT Health Committee was well represented. The Department for Quality and Assurance was invited to see what we're doing. We printed Ebola charts. We even thought the so-called washing, which is the main thing to deal with Ebola. We even have a theme song in FCT through the steps,
yes,
to hand washing. All this we did mid-August.
I was serious.
We needed to have water. We needed to have hand sanitizers. We needed to make sure that our clinics were in good condition, and we went back to work. Between August and September, we were working. We anticipated that the government would want us to open. But unfortunately, the government kept saying, you can't open, different bodies started coming, you can't open. You can't open, that is not the point. What do we do to keep our schools safe?
Yes, that was
That was one key thing that they were not looking at all.
Yes.
And that was what made it seem as if we were selfish.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
People felt we were selfish.
Okay, I had a different view on that.
Well, people felt we were selfish. They felt because we wanted our income, because of our school fees. The other party felt public schools could cry not to open because, of course, they were going to get paid.
Yes, there was that question, yes.
And then the Federal Ministry of Health was neither here nor there.
Okay.
I would say that because they wanted us to resume. But there are certain things that schools needed to have to resume for our public schools that they didn't provide.
For public schools.
That was actually the main concern. We have brought in temperature scanners. We have put in policies, even to the extent that our school buses will not pick children if they don't have temperature scanners on them. Now we're going to scan the temperatures of children.
Okay.
These are documents that came out.
Okay.
Preventing Ebola virus disease are preventive guidelines endorsed by the NMAFCT.
Okay.
And we have this and we give this information to all our members, and this became our minimum standard for resumption. We were ready in FCT. Yes, we might not be totally ready, but we had more than 70% of the schools ready for resumption.
Beautiful. So here's what's going on. I'm hearing this for the first time. The readiness part of it. So guess what? I think people were looking in the map from the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education had a timeline that teachers needed to be trained up until September 15th. So it looked like that was the schedule that was going on nationwide. Yeah. So NAFS didn't get word out on what it was doing to keep their schools Ebola free. So everyone thought that we were also working with when the Federal Ministry of Education and Federal Ministry of Health was going to be training for you.
Yes, I think that was one problem we had.
Okay.
For some reasons, we didn't go public.
Yes.
We didn't want to just do things as if we were just making noise.
Okay.
Right there in the background, we were working.
Yes.
And of course, I guess people expected us to come in here. Oh, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Media coverage for this.
Yes.
Our children in August was actually covered by Radio Nigeria.
Okay.
I think there was a media coverage for it. But it's not about making noise. It's about making sure that you're ready.
Yes.
We actually expected to see the press filter into all private schools.
To know how ready
to actually see how
ready schools were.
But we knew it was on ground.
Yes.
Everybody knows the implication of Ebola and Ebola.
Because everybody, that was my concern. Because it wasn't just about resume and get school fees. If you have a child with Ebola, everybody is at risk. So it should be more than, okay, we're going to get school fees. I mean, it should be more than that. So I thought it was a lot of courage to say children should come back into school.
Yeah, because we knew what we were doing. Okay. And we knew the implication of having just one single Ebola case.
Just the fact because it changed so much, yes.
And the spread.
Yes.
It was going to be a bad stigma for
other school that happened to. Because subsequently we look at there's something like the yes. We couldn't give anybody that stigma. So let me ask. So right now you're saying that all schools are ready for anything right now.
FCT were ready. And we know that FCT has sort of started as a model for a lot of schools. Our colleagues in Lagos didn't rest as well. Their own sensitization program was covered by the media. The issue was the government went to sleep. I'm sorry to use that word. They didn't do their part. They said that teachers were going to be trained within 2 weeks, blah, 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 blah. They forced us to and so dates. When did this training start? You need to go and see the quality of training. By the time government said they were going to start training schools, we were already anti-skelter about 72 hours to resumption. By then we had done our second training in FCT, up to the point that we demonstrated the way you will have to use the private protective equipment for our teachers, for our sick-based staff. They saw it, we taught them how to use the temperature scanners, the steps to hand washing, provision of water, the drainage system, everything, even our toilets, including our sanitary care. You know one thing, Irene, whether Ebola comes or not, we have been able to overcome this challenge as well. As a nation, of course, not without late Dr. Aminu Stella, which we acknowledged in our publication. And we wrote a special tribute to her, if you will permit. NAFS FCT will forever remember and honor you for preserving the lives of Nigerian children. She sacrificed herself.
She did. There's no doubt about that. So now you're saying that September 15th didn't happen. That timeline that the federal government was going to do trainings didn't happen, or it wasn't thoroughly done. Which is it?
It happened late and it wasn't thoroughly done. In fact, the temperature scanners did not arrive on time. Have you forgotten what was going on in the media with the public schools? That they needed to have water, they needed to have temperature scanners. If they don't have these things, that they were not going to resume. If you permit me, I'll take you back to July, when we had our security workshop in FCT.
Okay.
As at that time, the Ebola situation was already clear that our neighboring countries had Ebola.
Yes.
And at that training in FCT, we asked what they were doing, what were they preparing for us for Ebola. There was nothing concrete that came from there. And I remember that when I was personally, I myself, I spoke to my colleagues, the public school teachers. I made them understand that, look, if you guys don't have running water, don't use it. That was way back then in July.
In July.
Review the implications.
Mama, you know where I'm actually having concern in all of this conversation? Our schools are not ready to have children, especially at public schools, because having water should be a given, whether there's Ebola or not. So we're talking about very key issues, and I'm seeing that even when the life of our children are involved, governments are not really stepping up to what they should be doing, in the way they should be doing it, because let's say the private schools were covered, our public schools, were they really ready to have children with all the Ebola precautionary things that we're talking about? Is Nigeria Ebola free by chance? Because it looks like the larger populace were just lucky.
I wouldn't want to use the word lucky.
Okay.
I personally am a Christian.
Okay.
And I know that, honestly, whether anybody likes it or not, there was actually spiritual intervention.
Okay.
Because our public schools were not ready.
Yes, that's
Some
the
of our
point.
private schools in the rural areas
They're not ready. And these are the entry points. These are actually the entry points of the virus, where people are eating random things. So there's so much we need to do. Yes.
solution to keep schools closed. Or special measures. And
Okay.
that is what our government needs to wake up to. What is water? Running water.
And some communities have water at their baseline, so it's easy to make these things
And
happen.
make water available for them. So it's not that. I think God just chose to step into Nigeria. I think we're having too many issues for God to allow
Ebola to come in. It's been an amazing interview. For most part of it, I'm shocked by half of the information I'm getting, because I have been very proud about the Nigerian community for stamping Ebola out, only to find out that our public schools weren't really ready. And I kind of seem to think that yes, the private schools had something at stake, their reputation, the reputation is priority, and then one child gets into a school community, what risk it poses for every single person. So if they're private school, is it really private schools alone that need this guy? No. If you're a private or a public school teacher or owner, and you need to know about how you can keep your space safe for these children, you can reach out to us, send us an email on talkeducationafrica@gmail.com, and then send us WhatsApp or BBM messages on the addresses scrolling on your screen. I'll be able to give you information on how you can have access to this book. It's a guideline on how to keep your school safe and clean up, not just Ebola, any other thing. And I know it's important for me to add to government that for public schools to have water is a given. It's not a luxury. It should be a part of the school system. As far as I'm concerned, they get pressed. They need to use the restroom. How do they take care of that part of their hygiene? So public schools need to have basic amenities. So I'm really concerned about the future, because our children are watching how we react to issues that matter to them. And trust me, they will echo it back on us. They'll give back to us what we do. So that's why the children that we're actually dealing with are going to be signing your pension papers. So you better treat them right. You better do what is right for them. I'm not feeling good right now, but after the break, I'll be feeling better. Stay with us, don't worry. Welcome to the Right to Right segment on Talk Education Africa. I want to say thank you to everyone who has started sending their essays on 3 African countries they would like to visit. We're receiving them, we're marking them already, and as soon as you finish marking yours, we'll send you what the score is. Don't forget this segment is sponsored by Nigerian Postal Service, and the deadline for the first essay announced last week is March 13th, 2015. This week we have an amazing essay competition for children aged between 11 and 13 years old. January 31st is the Street Children's Day. We want you to write something about it. How can you help street children find their home, be loved, go to school, grow, and become responsible individuals? individuals in society. Send us an essay. The topic again is how can our street children get to home, find love, go to school, get an education, and be responsible members of the society. Remember, January 31st is Street Children's Day, and we want you to say something you can do positively for them. You can send in your essays by post to PO Box 7531 Abuja. Basically, people who send in handwritten essays through the postal service get an extra 10 points on their essays. Other ways you can send in the essay is by sending it by email to talkeducationafrica@gmail.com. Most of these addresses are scrolling on your address. If you have any inquiries, send it to the WhatsApp number and the BBM number and the phone lines you can call to confirm how you fit into these competitions. This week's competition is for 11 to 13-year-olds, where we write about how they can help street children get homes, be loved, go to school, get an education, become responsible members of society. Last week we announced an essay competition for children aged between 8 and 10, 500 word essay, where they get to share with us 3 African countries they would like to visit and why they want to visit them. The word limit for this week's competition for the 11 to 13-year-olds is 750 words. Don't you ever forget that this segment is probably sponsored, supported, funded, and loved by the Nigerian Post Service. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay with us after the break.
Welcome to the In the Class segment of Talk Education Africa. We've been talking statistics, an interesting topic in our maths curriculum, and today we're taking it further. We're trying to answer the questions, how do we collect the data? But before we start talking about how do we collect data, I'm looking at what we said about several people collecting numerical information to help decision making. So I'm asking, how do they collect this data? For example, somebody is saying, how do they find out how many children are born? How do they find out how many people have malaria? How long does it take them to collect the information and all of that? That's what we're looking at today. But there is a new word in our vocabulary, or it's becoming more pronounced or more obvious to us. It's the big word called data. Have you seen that word before? It always relates with statistics. Actually, data is raw information relating to numbers. I'm going to tell you why it is called raw. It's called raw because it's not in use. For example, when you go around asking your classmates, what do you want to eat? Jollof rice, fried rice, jollof rice, fried rice, jollof rice, fried rice. At that point, it's raw. You're not using it for anything until you put it together. Then you can now make decisions with it. So data is collecting raw information relating to numbers. So whether it is the National Planning Commission, whether it's schools, whether it's your mother, the process of gathering that information in the first bit of it is called the collation of data, collation of numerical information. So let's go. How do we collect the data? First and foremost, I need you to understand that anybody can use statistics, including you. You may be having problems right now that the easiest way to solve them is to collect data. But first and foremost, before we get to how we collect data, there are 4 steps that we must take before talking about whether we are collecting data or how we are collecting data. The first question we need to answer is, what do you want to collect data for? What problem do you have that you think data will solve? Number 1, what problem do you have and want to solve using data? Let me explain what I mean by problem. It doesn't always mean it's a problem. You may have observed something, you want to study it. For example, you're in a school, so many young people come to school late. You want to find out why they come to school late. So you can start keeping a time book in school that says, write the time you came and where you're coming from. In a month's time, you can come up with a conclusion that children who come from this part of town always come late. You can bring them together and start finding out why they come late and try to propose solutions to it. And when you find out what problem you have, when you're able to identify what problem you think data will help you solve, you're going to now narrow down to say, who are the people that can give me the information? Who are the people that can give me the information? This can be a little bit complex because you're going to classify these people. For example, it's going to be women. They are educated or illiterate. They live in Abuja or Lagos. Beautiful. Let me assume that you're trying to find out information on something that it's only women, illiterate women who live in Lagos can provide for you. So we've solved that second. We've answered the second step to knowing what kind of data you're looking at. Then the third question is, how soon do you need this data? How soon do you need this data? Is it immediate or can it take a while? So let me show you how these questions help you know what form of data or what form of method you can use to collect data. Let me start with, let's say you want to collect a data from women that are illiterate and live in Lagos. You're going to ask yourself, one way I can get this information from them is talking to them one-on-one. So that would be called, let me flip to the next page. Types of data collection process. If you have illiterate women that you want to talk to, then you could know that, okay, I'm going to be interviewing people, then I'll be keeping notes. You interview people and you keep notes. Secondly, if you want to talk to women that are business women, they work in the market, they won't have time to talk to you for long. You can say, I want to send an SMS and tell them, please send your answer to this number. People who are very busy, you can say, I want to use SMS and collect some information from people. Maybe you're trying to do a research for your school. You can use a questionnaire. Maybe you're going to be talking to so many people at the same time. Because you won't be able to go one-on-one on each person, you can distribute forms for people to complete. And then finally, I love this part, you can personally study people. You can personally study people, and then you can also do research. For example, you're having latecoming in Abuja. You can go online to see other places in the world where there have been latecoming challenges, put together the raw information you get, and try to come up with some possible causes for the actions, and then you can propose solutions for it. All of this I've been saying is to say, every time you come across a statistical information in your textbook, it means that someone has gone to either use bulk SMSs, talk to someone personally, done a research to gather as much information as possible. So no matter how statistics is represented, one of these processes has been used for the data to come out. Make sure you tune in the show next week because this class continues. But Talk Education Africa continues after the break.
Yeah, one of the things we do actually is selling stamps, because stamp to us, to NAPOS, is that's the symbol of exchange. Because though we have to sell, we don't have to use the money to put on the envelope. That's the only thing we can give you in exchange. You give us your money and we give you the stamp. And the stamp is used as an adhesive to prove that you have actually paid for the rate of whatever you want to send. The centenary stamp is an adhesive stamp that was released not long ago to commemorate the centenary celebration. Nigeria clocked 100 years this year, and the government decided to celebrate it in so many ways. And one of the ways, as by way of NAPOS keying into the celebration, is to release a commemorative stamp to commemorate 100 years of Nigeria.
welcome to the Innovation Map segment on Top Education Africa. This week we feature Innovation 36. It's called the Dress and Orphan Project. It's for children offering subjects that are related to garment making, which will be clothing and textile, home management, anything that involves sewing and all of that. So we're asking children to make dresses for orphans. They can choose to make dresses for orphans that are babies, but basically you group them into teams and give them a number of dresses that are supposed to deliver at a certain timeline, and then together you identify an orphanage where the children can make the donations. Donate the dresses to the orphanage. Here's what happens. You're giving children a purpose for their classwork, saying that you're coming to school so that another child who doesn't have the same privileges like you do can benefit from your education. And then also it helps them meet their timelines on achieving the set out topics they're supposed to achieve in terms of dressmaking. So just giving a purpose behind their education. Remember, you can purchase the entire Innovation Map Kit, which contains 102 ideas on how you can integrate 21st century skills into everyday learning. To purchase the entire Innovation Map Kit, which contains 102 ideas on how you can integrate 21st century skills into everyday learning, please check the address scrolling on the screen and reach out to us, and we will be glad to give you further information. Thank you for tuning in to Innovation Map this week. Stay with us after the break. Top Education Africa is still on.
This is Irene Bangwell. We're still at the old parade ground, Area 10 in Abuja, Nigeria. We are actually at the exhibition space of the 3rd National Education Innovation Exhibition. Right now we are trying to talk to school students from Federal Science and Technical College, Yaba, Lagos. We're going to have the innovators come talk to us about what they've done, what inspired them. Do they want to continue it as a culture, or they want to make it an exhibition only thing? We are hoping that someday these kids are going to put together things that we can export to the rest of the world. Thank you so much. And you're watching Talk Education Africa. Alright, we're still at the Federal Science and Technical College, Yaba, Lagos stand at the 3rd National Education Innovation Exhibition. We're talking to the 4th child in this corner. He's done something called an excavator. So we'll have him talk to us about it.
Thank you. My name is Basi Savio from Federal Science and Technical College, Yaba, Lagos. Right before me here is an excavator. What made me do this excavator was when I heard of something that happened in my vicinity, when a man who was working on a lawn, actually I think it was a farm, he slept off and no one knew what happened, and all the arms of the excavator just got loosened and broke through the glass and injured the man. So when I heard that, I decided that wow, that if we could do something that could act as the man, now if this thing should get loosened, it's going to hit that thing and not the man himself. So I decided that, okay, I'll make an electrically controlled excavator, which is going to work with a robot. So I made this is electrically controlled, not hydraulically controlled like the normal excavator we all know. And this right here is the robot, and all these are the wiring parts, and that is the battery which is used to power it, and it works perfectly.
Put your hands together for yourself if that's okay. This is excellent, this is brilliant, this is encouraging. See, when you guys come up with ideas like this, you make us know that one day Nigeria is going to have made in Nigeria products that we're proud of. This is exciting. This is an improvement on what's currently in the systems, right? So we're very proud of you.